Welcome to the Lending Forward podcast, brought to you by Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. This is your home for real discussions about the mortgage and housing industry. Our hosts are here bringing you firsthand accounts every week from people at the heart of the business. And we're chatting with professionals from all corners of the industry as they help cultivate transparency around the future of the industry we love. Together, we are lending forward all we know to you. Thanks for joining us for today's episode. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lending Forward. My name is Sarah Rogers. I'm your host today, and we are welcoming back a familiar face to the show. I am so excited to chat with him today about marketing that matters. Tim Hooper, welcome back to Lending Forward, and thanks for being here.
Sarah, thank you. And thank you all for listening. Great to be back.
Awesome. We are so happy to have you. And we're going to, before we dive in, we need to start with, if you're watching this on our YouTube page, Tim, you're coming off of a busy week at the time of us recording this. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that Tim is in his car office. He just landed in the Richmond airport because your annual Energized Sales Conference was just this past week in Maryland and Virginia. I saw your posts about it. The lineup and the topics looked great. So I'm wondering, how was the energy in that room full of sales professionals? Was there any big takeaway that you can share with us from the events?
Wow. One big takeaway. So you asked about the energy. Energy was off the charts. We had a great lineup. We had speakers in from California, from Arizona, and why the heck they wanted to fly out of sunny places, hot places, to come to the frozen tundra of the Maryland and Virginia market. Just servant-hearted, I guess. But the energy was great. We had business owners and branch managers and then salespeople. So really targeted, really focused. And it was all about, the industry, it's shifted, it's changed, and it's evolving so very rapidly with technology and everything else. So we definitely had sales, we had marketing, we had technology. But I think the biggest takeaway was this. We started with a cheer, and I said, while we could all say energize because the conference is energized, I'm like, and usually in times past, I've had them all cheer, energize, we take the big shot. But I said, I want to get quiet for a second. And I want you to think about your one word you need, the one word that you keep getting hung up on. The one word that if you did that one thing, you would double your business. Your word, what is that? So we all got quiet. We thought about our word. Then we got on camera, all of us together, everybody on selfie mode. And we shot it and everyone shouted their word. And what I told them was anytime they need a reminder throughout the year, go back and watch that video. So I think the biggest takeaway for me wasn't necessarily even that exercise. It was we all have to tune out. And we heard it from all the tech, all the AI that was shared, all the resources. Like, don't look at all of this wealth of information and just become overloaded again. Tune it all out and pick the one thing out of all this tech you just saw. What's the one that really would help your business today? Because chances are next year there'll be another one that'll help your business then. So I think it came down to one thing. That was my big takeaway. So listen to your one word, and you inside of you listen. What's the one thing that will drive your business forward? So, yeah, that was a big takeaway for me, and I'm sure it would be a host of different things from everybody who was in that room. But it was a ton of energy. It's great.
Right. I love that. And that's actually perfect because today we're chatting about marketing that matters. Everyone talks about marketing, but my background's in marketing, and I'll be the first to tell you there's a lot of unnecessary noise around the topic. I think it's really important to boil things down sometimes as to not be so overwhelmed by it, because I've realized that some people in our industry, they hear the word marketing and they just shrivel up. They tense up and they're like, yeah, no, thank you. But we're here to clear that fog a little bit today. So I love how you said about, getting rid of that noise, that exercise you did at Energize. And I want to start off, I've heard you tell a really lovely story about your mother, Dorothy, buying a home. And to kind of tie it into our topic today, the loan officer that won over your business had some really stellar marketing baked into her sales process that set that expectation quick, connected with you, and was the reason why she won you over. So I want you to tell that story for our listeners because it's something that is so simple at the core. So I want them to hear that and understand that your marketing approach does not have to be incredibly complex and scary to help you win business.
Yeah, great, Sarah. Thanks for the tee up. I tell this story because number one, it's very, very meaningful for me, but also the experience that I had was fantastic. And it certainly applies because you guys listening, you're in the real estate industry. So back in the 2020, during the pandemic, we're all locked down and the rates drop and the refi boom and everything happens. So at the end of 2020, I went to, I have a large family. I went to my siblings. I said, hey, I think it's time we buy mom a home. So mom ended up on her own in her 60s, through some unfortunate circumstances. And, she's renting, and we grew up very blue collar. Home ownership was not the thing. It was not like in our belief system. And so I had a really good mentor at a young age, really started investing in me, read Think and Grow Rich, went through like Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University at the time, like it or lump it. I took some good nuggets from it as far as getting like thinking about wealth building. And so my wife and I, we bought our first home, and like home ownership became important, and we made moves. Every move we made, so I'm seeing this and to start getting into real estate investing, and again, great mentors. So now, fast forward 15 years, of marriage, and I'm sitting here with my wife, and we're wealthy and we're able to bless. And I'm sitting here going, okay, I don't like taking our 4 kids to go see my mom. And I love my mom. I love spending my time, but she's in a bad part of town renting. And I don't even like the house. I don't think it's safe as she's getting older. So I went to the siblings. I said, listen, mom birthed her retirement package, so why don't we help get her a home? And so, so we all got together, and I mean, everybody who could, right? They said, yeah, we contribute every month. And so I'm like, okay, so now I gotta go convince my mom to move to Virginia with me, right? So I go try to tell my mom, would you ever move to Virginia? She says, Tim, I have so many of you guys all over the country. I gotta stay in Iowa. I gotta stay Switzerland, and all my siblings all over. So anyway, long story short, I'm like, okay. So I go on Google, and a quick first marketing hack, like if you're not leveraging Google, like for reviews, you don't have a Google My Business profile. It's the free and one of the top most SEO driving tools you'll ever have. So number one, get on Google, okay? Because I went to Google. I know nobody in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, but I type in loan officer, kind of, we got to go get applied for a loan. We're going to take advantage of the 2.25 interest rate, right? And I want mom on the loan too, because at this point in life, I want her to start building some credit. So she's going to be like co-signer with me on the loan. And so I reach out to I look at on Google, and I just loan officer Cedar Rapids. In fact, if you type that in today, you will see the loan officer I use is probably either on the top or within the top 3. Because she really works those reviews. But anyway, long story short, I go through the sponsor, like 2 sponsors. I just dropped down below that, and I got the first 3, just the first 3. As long as they had like good reviews, they all looked good. I was like, okay, first 3. And I just went website, or maybe there was like a contact information right there, but I clicked the website, found an email real quick, because all I want to do is, I knew I had a webinar to get on. I was coaching about 120 loan officers like in 30 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this email written and sent, and I'm very efficient. So it's like, okay, write one email, copy it, just change the name, protect the innocent, right? So anyway, email just says this: I'm Tim Hooper. I live in Central Virginia. I'm going to be buying my mom a home. I want her on the note with me to build credit, blah blah blah, and her name's Dorothy. And here's a Zillow link in the area we're looking, because we had already found one that we like. So that was it. Copy paste. 3 emails go out, and within 3 minutes, I get one back from the first guy. His name was Tim. I thought it was like this good omen. I'm like, okay, Tim, that should work. And I like promptness. I'm like, oh, cool. And all it said was, Tim, awesome. Here's the link to the application. This is the first step. Get this filled out as soon as you can. And I was like, awesome. I love that. And I'm a high D personality. Perfect. I flagged the email because I got to go get coffee, hit the little boy's room before I get on this coaching call. And so I go get my coffee, come back in. I still had 15 minutes to spare. And when I get back to my office, a second email had come in. And all I see in my inbox,
a video, a little
hand wave.
Yeah.
Little GIF or GIF. And it has this little, what one real estate influencer said was the best call to action you'll ever see is the little triangle, the play button. And so I had a little play, and I clicked, and right below it said 37 seconds. Now I have 15 minutes. I got my call. I'm ready to go. I clicked at 37 seconds. Boom. And it says something like this. Hey, Tim, Shannon, I've been doing, I'm here in Cedar Rapids. I've been doing mortgages for about 28 years, and I got your email. In fact, the Zillow link, that's like right down the road from our office. But listen, right below this video, I put our application link. It'll literally take you 7 minutes to fill out. Shouldn't take you any longer. But if you have any technical difficulty, my cell phone's right below that. So just text me or call me, whatever's easiest for you. Get that done. I'll be reaching out with next steps. Let's get Dorothy in a home. 37 seconds. What she did for us in a couple of things, just to break this down. Right away, I felt connected to I felt like she was in my office. Number two, she articulated what she just sent me and how long it would take. Guys, I looked at my watch. I had 10 minutes. I clicked the link. I had the application done because in my brain, I said, I can do that before this and I get it done. I never came back to Tim's flagged email. Did you know that Tim, and just to Tim's credit, Tim has kept me on his drip list. Shannon actually in her amazing approach, I don't get as much drips from Shannon. I still get drips from Shannon. Tim has kept me on his drip list. So I get a drip from Tim every month since 3 years ago. Every month I get a drip from Tim, which I love. I appreciate. I've not unsubscribed because he's got good stuff in there. But I get like once or twice a year from Shannon. You know who I go back to and use? Shannon.
Yeah, that connection.
It's that connection. And so, but anyway, I use Shannon for my mom. And I asked her when we went to closing. Oh, and by the way, one of the things she said in her video too was also, I know a lot of real estate agents. I know you said you're from Virginia. If you're looking for somebody and I didn't have a real estate, she referred me to a real estate agent. So all that to say, you're building your referral network with the real estate referral. You're literally connecting the dots between Virginia and Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You're putting human, right? You're stepping into my office all through. And here's what she told me at closing. She said, Tim, I don't use video a lot. In fact, I'm not even on social media on video. I don't like to be on social media with video. I was like, well, why are you doing? She said, because I analyze my process and I asked myself this question, where do I lose the most conversion? And for me, it was after I sent my link out. I didn't get people to do it. So I thought, I was in a workshop and I thought, if I could give the first impression more of me, rehumanize the first connection. And you know what, Sarah, I zoomed out from that conversation and realized the only marketing that matters for Shannon and the Hall team in Cedar Rapids is that first impression. That's the marketing that mattered. But why did it matter? Did Shannon get to say that mattered? No. Her customer got to say whether that mattered. And I think the thing about marketing, the tricky part is we think we get to say if it matters or not.
Right.
And we really need to be asking ourselves, does this matter to who I'm talking to? And that's the litmus test for me, right? So anyway, it's a cool story. My mom's in a home, and now I love going to Cedar Rapids. I love visiting. It's a whole downstairs to ourselves, like it's a whole suite down there. She's got her own room. In fact, when we painted her room purple and moved her in, it was her first time having her own room in her whole life. She cried. And my mom is like such a tough, like soft heart, but tough skin, and she cried. And I'll do that in a heartbeat. But yeah, so go be more like Shannon, get that first impression, figure out in your process where it matters to your customer.
That's so sweet. And I love that. I love everything you said, but it's about meeting people where they are. They don't need you till they need you. So meeting them where they are and like taking advantage of those first moments is key. And I really love that it took Shannon 37 seconds to record that video. Like it took her less than 60 seconds to win your business, to start a relationship. And you just cannot beat that. So sometimes it is these small touches. She identified that was the gap in her process where she was losing sales. And obviously it's working what she's changed. But yeah, it's those things you might not even realize work that just puts the consumer kind of at ease and is the game changer. Yeah. So I know you just said Shannon doesn't use video for much, but she's utilizing it where she needs it and where it's most effective, which is great. But since video was the game changer for her, I want to talk about that for a second. I'm a huge proponent for loan officers and real estate professionals getting on camera, showing people who they are. And I personally really hunkered down on that concept during COVID because we were all cooped up with just the few people in our homes, craving that interaction that was kind of just ripped away from us out of nowhere. So in my marketing mind, the importance of video really amped up during COVID. And of course, the importance of it has not gone away. It's only grown with the way that culture and media consumption and all of that has changed throughout the last couple of years. But I will tell you, getting on video is not something that many people want to do. You know that. A lot of people are uncomfortable with it. Even
Yeah,
Shannon, who video is her, what's working for her, doesn't even like
right.
it herself. But we both know, Tim, you and I, that it's a form of marketing that truly matters because of the connection it builds. You have that story with your mom. So, can you go into that? Take a minute to talk about the benefits, maybe some stats or additional stories outside of Shannon's of people you've worked with that it might help convince someone who's listening, maybe they're on the fence for video, to just try it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the neuroscience, and we actually had a speaker in Chelsea Pites. So if you want to go follow a really
Oh,
good.
she's been on the podcast too. We know
Oh,
Chelsea.
has she? All right. Hey,
Yes.
Chelsea. I mean, you're that's the OG, so I'm here following in some big footsteps, obviously. But she was at our conference, the last 2 days, Energize conference, and you know, 250 people in Maryland and close to 200 in Richmond. Rooms packed, everyone's standing, and literally she had everybody spellbound for like an hour and 20 minutes with
Mm.
a session and then the Q&A. And the question that she was answering for people, is she really honed in on her target message was, if you're reluctant about social media and video. That was her message. And she was really speaking to that reluctant crowd, because I feel like out of our audience, there was probably a good 80% that was in that reluctant crowd. You get your people who are out there all the time. They're on video. They're comfortable. It might be a little bit sociopath. I don't know. But anyway, just all over the place, all out there. Okay, that's fine. But she was like, if you're reluctant, I want to talk to you. And she said, the neuroscience is this, that we don't like the way we sound on video because it's not really how we sound on. Like, it's not really how we sound. Our brain actually hears ourselves differently than what the world hears. And she went through the whole neuroscience. It's so very powerful. I encourage you to go to follow her on Instagram and just watch some of her stuff, because what she does, she breaks the barrier down. So I'd say number one, let go. And I don't mean this like trying to motivate you. I'm like, you don't need motivated. You need to actually believe the neuroscience that you sound to others way better. Like, think about it this way. If you sent your kid a FaceTime video today or a recording, you're at a conference, you send your kid, and trust me, I was doing this all week, sending my kids little videos. Do I even think once at all about how that video is going to sound to them? No, because I know they love me, I love them, and I just talk on the phone and send it. Now, do I go back and rewatch it and play it and hear myself and say, oh, they're not? No. But we do that because we're afraid of what people are going to think. And what we need to get over is just like, they're not going to think anything. Like, it's not good or bad. It's just, you're giving information. You're showing up as you. And she gave the analogy, like, if you're in the store and run into somebody, you're not like going to go hide. You're going to just engage and talk. So social is about the same, and just get over, like, just let it go. It's not so much you need motivation. It's just, you just accept that it's okay to feel that way. You're not wrong for feeling that way. Everybody else does too. So just go start talking. And then, so number one, I say just move past, accept the barriers. Don't try to overcome them. Just accept the barriers and then just move past them. Go around them. So just start doing it, get on. But the number two thing is this: people retain 90% of what they hear and watch, and only 10% of what they read. So even if you're doing like static posts, even some cool like doctored up quotes, and I know some of you guys, because I follow you, you do a great job with some of like the branding, and you do those quotes, and that's great. But you know what? I read the quote. You posted it. I should give credit to you, but I read the quote, and I read who wrote the quote, and I just remember the quote. And later on, I'm telling somebody, oh, I read this great quote, and I cannot remember the heck whose social feed I was on when I read that quote. So here's the power. What if you took that quote and just got on video for 10, 15 minutes and said, hey, everybody, listen, this week's been a kind of a crummy week for me. Dog got sick, car battery died. I had like 10 closings to get to, but I read this quote. It really resonated, and here's how it goes. And I'll probably stumble on it, but it doesn't matter. Here's how it goes. And you just kind of hold up you hold up the thing, you jot in a note, maybe the book that you read, you hold that up. But it's like, the obstacle is the way because blah, blah, blah. And you just, whatever, give the quote. And then you're like, if that's you, if you felt that way, if this has resonated, drop something in the comments. Let me know. Just that's like, what, 20 seconds, Sarah, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Did that, then I guarantee you, when I go talk to my friend about that quote that I heard or what read, and you can even put the quote in the caption now with the video, totally fine. All I know is I saw your face now with that quote, and what happened for me in my amygdala, like in my brain, I mean, like this limbic system, this big complicated computer is it seamlessly tied, like the cells are tied. That quote your face tied. So the power of video is I retain it better, 90% better, but I also retain it with you. The information with you. So video is so powerful in that way. The other thing is this: we have been programmed, and it's not our fault. It is our problem that we have to address. But our society has been programmed because of all the instant stuff at our fingertips, and especially like when you look up a brand that you want to go and get, maybe a restaurant you're going to take your significant other out to. What do? You go on. We don't even look for pictures anymore. We look for the little videos of like panning around the restaurant because I want to hear the music, the ambiance. Like, so we have been trained, and please, like, this is so important to experience something before we engage with something. I'll say it again. We have been trained to experience. We want the experience before we ever engage. It's scary to engage with something we've not experienced. We've just been programmed this way now. So when you don't give the world video, they're landing on you and they're struggling to say yes to connecting with you if you sent them a friend request. If they go on your profile and they see no video, they're having a hard time. And they're not even trying to have a hard time. It's just we've been programmed this way. So when there's video, immediately there's like one or two and maybe some posts mixed throughout, but they can see quickly within a few swipes, there's some video. Even if they don't click the play button, which they probably will, but even if they don't click the play button, they just see there's video. This was real. I can experience her. And then if they do click it, they hear your vocals, they see your eyes. I mean, I'm like tired right now, 2 days and barely any sleep and like, running a conference and like, I'm tired right now, but you guys see me, like you're okay with that. Right. And I told Sarah, she's like, we can reschedule. I mean, let's not reschedule. I'm so like, I have so much energy coming out of this conference. Like it's perfect. But nobody has thought until I just said that, nobody has thought, oh, Tim looks a little too tired for this podcast. Like, nobody has thought that.
Nope.
Until I just said it. Now you're going to see it for the rest of the podcast. So you're welcome. But
you just outed yourself.
So you know what I mean? So it's just just show up, just move around the barriers, understand that it's better in the cellular brain where they put your face with content. And then at the same time, they want to experience you before they'll engage with you. And especially if you're reaching out like cold calling or slipping their DMs and there's video, it makes it so much easier to say, oh, hey, back to you. So there you go. That would be my top three, I guess you could say. There's a lot more.
And something else about you, Tim, is we've talked on LinkedIn messages before. You send voice notes and you have encouraged me to do that with people too, because it's just so much better than reading a big, long message from someone. I see a big, long message. I already halfway tune out. And like you said, people only retain 10% of what they read. So even though it's a voice memo, not exactly a video, in that medium, those messages, it goes so much further. And I've heard you say before, the line, what is it? Done is better than perfect.
Yep.
Something like that. Yep. Right. Yep. So I've said that before on this podcast too. Nobody is as tough of a critic as we are on ourselves. They don't know that you might not have said something in the exact way that you had it planned out in your mind, or that you messed up or flubbed up on a couple words.
Yep.
Only you know that. And we just need to get over our internal egos. Like you said, those barriers they're not barriers. It's kind of all internal, but
it is.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so, I love that. Perfection is the enemy of done. Perfect or done is better than perfect. And yes, I love that you said it. And the voice memo thing, that was a modification for me. I used to send videos through DMs. Number one, they're a bit heavier. And the other thing is this: you can over video, I believe, especially in DMs. You don't want to always communicate in a video when you're one-on-one with somebody. Like the first impression is powerful. So that, like Shannon, but then after that, like a quick voice memo. I voice memo people that I know really well all the time. So I'm like, okay, it's Sarah's birthday. I'm on LinkedIn. I see her birthday's today. I'm going to shoot a voice memo in a direct message. Well, that's powerful because number one, nowadays we have like the transcript that goes along with stuff. Not yet in social DMs, but like in text messages, it transcribes it. So now I don't have to type, but if they want to listen instead of read, they can listen. It gives them options. But on social media, I think it's cool because Sarah, so many people have reached out. I didn't know you could do this in here. Right. And then, but then for me, I used to send videos and sometimes I'd be like out doing my run or something, and I know it's somebody's birthday and I do it. Now, if it's a close buddy, I'll still do a video or like while I'm running, but I was just like, I don't want to creep people out. Like if I don't know you that well, or connect on social, like this video, I'm out running or whatever. I used to do that, honestly. And I realized as I analyzed, I'm like, that's overkill. So the voice memo has been my best friend. It's a modification for sure, but it's really resonated. So that's a simple lift. If you're like a real estate agent out there, your referral partners, it's their birthday, send them a voice memo. Yeah, Sarah, I love it. So voice memos I use probably 25, 30 times a day.
Yeah, I
Voice
love
memos
that.
on social and in text.
And that's what we do until like I voice memo my friends and my husband when I want to say something but don't want to type it. So it just
Yeah.
voice memos in and of themselves kind of have more of a friendship like connotation, like relationship type of feel. So you're just feeling that connection, that deeper connection with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So something else, I want to change gears a little bit. Well, you actually mentioned it a little earlier, but something else that chalks up as marketing that matters because people are looking for it and they need it are having solid, consistent reviews. When people search you, you want to show up, you want reviews to show from past consumers. And I've heard this stat from you, 79% of consumers trust online reviews more than personal recommendations. And that blew my mind, especially because historically, this has always been the industry where word of mouth is king. But
So powerful.
it also didn't surprise me once I thought about it a little bit more. But where's that stat from? Can you talk about reviews a little more and how getting them so that they can kind of do a lot of work for you, how that can be marketing that matters that's kind of worked into our sales processes?
Yeah. So it's funny, referrals, we're still in a very heavy referral business. But the
Mm-hmm.
funny thing was the trust factor. So what we've learned, and again, this is programming, like we're in a new generation, guys and gals, and it's like millennials and Gen Z are like the big wave, right? They're here. And we've all been programmed to I think we've been programmed a couple of ways. We've been programmed that your experience, like our friends have told us, oh, this was great. I went, blah, 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 blah. And we went and did it, and it wasn't great for us. And so we've realized that, okay, not everyone is experiencing it the same way. And so we've learned now, back in the day, if your friend said, I have this awesome realtor you have to use, and you went and used that realtor and it was terrible for you, you kind of in your brain said, well, okay, my friend must have caught the realtor on a good day. And you just kind of chalked it up to that. And then you just decided, I'm not going to use that realtor anymore. Gone are those days, because now what people do, my friend says, oh, this is an awesome realtor I'm using. The first thing I'm doing is I'm going to Google right after that interchange. I'm going to Google and I'm typing in your name into Google, period. I'm typing in your name because my friend said it. And I don't ever want my friend to feel bad. I don't want there to be awkwardness. I want to go, I'm trust, but I'm going to verify. We've been programmed that we can look up anything. And with AI, it's only going to get even more so. We can look up anything and everything. So we go Google people. So that's why the stat says they trust the reviews more than personal recommendations. Because I'll believe you, but I might not trust you. I go see what's said online. So if you're not even showing up online, that might be a problem. You might completely lose somebody. Number two is if you're showing up online but not where the consumer's going, then is that really marketing that matters? So man, I'm crushing on TikTok. Well, if I Google you, TikTok will probably pull up. Well, I think TikTok's back. It got banned for like a couple hours, but I think it's back, and hopefully we'll be back to stay. I'm not on TikTok, but I know a lot of good people on TikTok. I think TikTok's valuable, and we won't get into the politics there. But anyway, so if you're not on multiple ways that they could easily access you on the platform they prefer, there's a problem. You're going to miss some stuff. But Google reviews are powerful. The other thing about Google reviews, though, is I think a lot of us, number one, we don't know where to go after reviews. We're on Zillow getting reviews. Maybe we're on Facebook still trying to get recommendations, or maybe we're over on some platform. The consumer goes to Google for reviews. So I would go to Google and build out I would use that as my singular source for reviews. And the other thing is this: if you talk to Google, Google will talk about you. And if your customers talk to Google, Google will scream about you. That's I did not come up with that. Sam Trimble, my buddy, came up with that. So with that, build it out, and then I would include in your process. Again, always think about systems and processes, because you got to build muscle memory, and you also have to make it easy for your customer. If you're sending out a link after closing, or you're sending out a link after you've lost them, you just lost 90% chance to get a review. But if you'll ask in the moment, or if you'll work with your closing company to ask in the moment, and your closing company is sitting at the closing table with them, you could easily ask them to insert a QR code and just say, hey, here's the note. I highlighted this note. This is the most important document along with your title policy. Like these things, this protects your land and this keeps it yours by making the payment. Out of all this stuff, here's the two most important. Now, as a title company, we would love a review. And listen, we work closely with your lender or real estate agents listening. Like you could also implement this. But in that process right there, have the closing attorney slide that QR and just say, would you take 30 seconds and leave us in this trifecta a review? Because it matters and it helps our business, and we're here to continue to help you. And if ever you move family to the region or you look to ever make a change, upsize, downsize, we want to be the people you come to. And you kind of re-articulate our value right now. We really need to. But anyway, slide that across. Oh my goodness, if I was sitting there, 37-year-old real estate investor on my 5th purchase, I've done it all the time. Even if I'm high D personality, need to move out, move on, you're going to make copies of the closing packet for me anyway. I've got some downtime. I'm going to just hop on social or hop on and DM somebody a voice memo. So why not insert that right there in that moment? So here's where the system and process is so key. It's called ZMOT, Zero Moment of Truth. So all these big brands know that when Sarah goes to look for heels, they need cookies landing on their sites from where Sarah was searching. So that if she moves over away from that, they can now see they can put an advertisement right there for heels, right? We all know this is happening. But how about in our process? Are we grabbing the cookies and making sure it's landing right where the consumer needs it? And that's right on that closing table. Don't wait till after. And if you're doing it mobily, get your notary to work on this with you. So just think about your process and where you can insert that ask before you lose the customer. And here's what will happen. You'll get 90% reviews. I'm coaching people right now who have gone from like 40 to like over 500 Google reviews. And their SEO. And the thing is, it's pulling all their social pages up too. Because when somebody types your name in, all of that pulls up. Google's screaming about them. So just think about your process. Don't overcomplicate it, and don't give the consumer one more step. When I get home from closing, I already have 100 emails from the postal service, from my bank, from everybody else, and then I didn't really want to hear from you again. Honestly, like give me 3 months. Send me a gift basket to the house if you can. If legally you can. I like that. Put some nice wine in there, whatever. But like that'll be cool, but I don't need another email, right? So just think about lightweighting it. Again, marketing that matters. So anyway, hopefully I didn't go too technical or too deep, Sarah, but I think the process there really matters.
Yeah, no, you touched on one of the biggest parts I was going to ask you to clarify, and that's like which medium is best, because there are so many places you can leave a review, their website, the numerous housing search engines out there, just so many different places. And I knew my answer was Google as well. So I'm glad that from a consumer and a professional standpoint. So I'm glad that you kind of clarified that. I want to dive into one more topic with you. It's a buzzword, AI. Some people are all about it. Some people are scared of it. It can be really overwhelming, but there are some really great ways that we can utilize AI to help our businesses in real estate and mortgage. And on a recent talk of yours, I had a jaw-dropping moment. You said AI won't take a mortgage banker's job, but the mortgage banker leveraging AI will absolutely take the business from those who aren't. I paused for a second. I was like, dang, like that is a mic drop moment. So our listener doesn't want to be the person that's kind of losing their business to someone leveraging AI. What are some of the ways that people can get into it? Like, what are maybe your top 3 tools or whatever it is that you're seeing work for people using AI?
Yeah, great. Awesome. So I'm also one of those kicking and screaming and dragging my feet. Okay. We just heard the Stargate news. We saw the CEO of Oracle. We saw the CEO of OpenAI. They're getting together. Healthcare is going to absolutely be transformed by AI. We know this. And truly, that's one of the more regulated. And the financial industry, obviously, another highly regulated. But it's coming. It's here to stay. Our government's investing in bringing businesses here. The data centers are going up. Our schools are figuring out how to use it. I think our kids are going to become more creative. Our kids are going to learn not code. We're actually going to learn how to prompt, how to deploy an army of interns, how to deploy robots. Like I believe in 10 years, my kids will have there'll be robots in the garage. Like I strongly believe this is happening. This is coming. And as much as we hate to think about like, oh, but what if like it's weaponized? Okay, Cars are weaponized today. Everything's weaponized. Everything has been weaponized. And we've always rose to those challenges and to overcome. Now, there will have to be safeguards and regulations will have to keep up. So I'm telling you this because when I teach a whole full class on AI, which I'm going to be doing with you guys down in Charlotte here soon, I always give like a little bit of the wisdom on how to apply it. But for sake of time to wrap this podcast, I think the top 3 ways, literally approach it with wisdom, but the top 3 ways, and don't violate privacy. Don't upload private information into it, not till we have a little bit better regulation, because you don't want to come, have some class action include you for having dumped consumer private information in there. Okay. With that said, 3 top ways to use AI. Number 1, and I'll just give you my playbook. Number 1 for me, I see a lot of people. I have a lot of coffees. I have a lot of lunches. I have a lot of events, and I speak all over the place. I'll have great conversations after a speaking engagement with maybe 5 or 6 or 7 people. I will get to my car and I'll be headed towards the airport, and I will go to ChatGPT. I've already trained. And if anybody listening to the podcast wants my prompt, just reach out. Sarah will connect you with me and I will give you my prompt. Yeah, I want you to have it. But my prompt literally has trained this thread to take all of my data dump in no particular order. I'm just going to go blah, 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 blah. Just put everything in there. And oh yeah, by the way, and oh yeah, let's throw this in there. I'm just going to data dump for about 8 minutes on the hit the microphone and just talk while I'm driving. And then it's done. And it's literally going to give me all my follow-up activities first and blah, blah, blah. I'm going through security. I copy paste that into my CRM or into an email. And the very next morning over coffee, the first thing I'm hitting is all of my follow-ups from the day prior. So nothing's falling through the cracks for me as a sales leader. It's the slide edge of business, right? That follow-up. And then the intelligence. Somebody said use actual intelligence with artificial intelligence. So the thing is, a lot of times we go to AI. Hey, give me. I'm more about train it and then give it what it needs and then let it work. It's a big, massive calculator. Let it do the work for you. All right. So that's number 1, a sales assistant. Okay, a virtual sales assistant. Number 2 is marketing assistant. You absolutely can take, if you're trying to create like content or you're trying to create videos, you can take something that's massive that you maybe right now are in your process sending out a 3-page PDF or something that's a lot of information. You can upload that and say, hey, break this down, make it stupid simple. I want some good social media 30-second video based on this stuff. And so like, say you get a wire fraud insight report, or you get a 22-page report from like the Mortgage Bankers Association or NAR, and you're like, how do I explain this? How do I break it down? Upload that stuff and let AI use its intelligence to break it down and make it really digestible, and then iterate. Like, don't just take what it gives you the first time, iterate down. So sales assistant, marketing resource, and then there's tools now. Now, we all think ChatGPT when it comes, or like a LLM when it comes to AI. There's so many AI plugins, like in Canva. You have AI plugins in a podcast, dashboard. You have AI plugins. You have AI for like taking a long form video and cropping it up, doing all the captions for you right at your fingertips. And by the way, that's opus.pro. It's the best one out there. OPUS.pro.
So you're on Zoom. You're not even thinking about being on camera, but you are. So AI can literally take something long form, chop it up into short form, and give you plenty of social media content that's actually really good. And the production quality is really good. So just think about AI. How can it save me hours today? How can it save me hours this week? Think about it from that perspective. A lot of people are playing around in AI and actually creating more work for themselves. I think you need to think about things you're doing or want to do and how AI could do that. And then I would say last but not least, go find somebody who's leveraging it well, maybe a referral partner who you can maybe sit down with monthly and just here's the thing. You can get on a webinar, a podcast, and hear all about AI. But if you see somebody and they can show you their phone and like, dude, this is how I'm doing this and whatever, so much better. So get local accountability around it, and just always approach it with wisdom. So I went a little long on that, Sarah. Hopefully that was valuable.
No, that was good. We could probably talk about that for a full 45 minutes. So I appreciate this snippet of it just to get people thinking about it. Before I ask you our signature question, I want you to do a little plug for what you do on a day-to-day basis. I know you're helping professionals all over the place. So in case anyone's fired up from this conversation and they want to connect with you, tell us a little more. We'll put your info in the show notes too.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm up to is I help sales teams I work with brokerages. I work with large real estate teams, high performing real estate teams. I work with mortgage brokers. I'm mortgage bankers all around. Obviously, Atlantic Bay, where have a great relationship and work with different parts of their company with in different regions.
Mhm.
What do I? All right, you have a goal. Either you're like crushing it and you want to go more, or you've grown complacent, maybe, or you're plateaued and you want. I need motivation on the next level. I'm going to be the sales guy to come in and say, hey, and being a millennial kind of, I guess, helps because it's like, here's some of the tech stack I'm using, but I don't like tech for the sake of tech. I like tech, and I teach how to leverage tech in your sales, in your marketing. And then I'm a mass comm major. So I'm not really I'm not the, hey, here's how to go like script it perfectly and all this. Like, no, I actually say to salespeople all the time, if you're afraid you can't talk like a sales professional, don't. Talk like a human instead.
Mhm.
Better connection, better sales. So I want to take your process. So I come in and help teams and we dive deep. We look at your process and all the ways you're losing business, all the ways you're losing the lead, where we're not converting, and we tweak things. We just tweak things. We insert things, and then we get those lead conversions up, and everyone's happy. Everyone's making more money. So listen, I come in and all I say is I ignite the energy in your sales process, and I make it super simple so your muscle memory can follow. And that's all I do. And I work in title. I work with title companies, mortgage bankers, and real estate. It's the beautiful trifecta, right?
Mhm.
And then we all integrate together beautifully, and we have to now educate the public more than ever before.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah, we'll put your where they can find you in the show notes.
Perfect.
Perfect. Let's wrap this up. This has been a great conversation, but we have to ask you our signature question. How do you, Tim Hooper, plan on lending it forward in 2025?
Sarah, I have procrastinated on relaunching Got Energy, my book. So I launched 6 years ago as one book. And I've been working, we've been revising. I mean, again, you grow so much in 6 years. Oh my gosh. And so and I've procrastinated. I've kind of put that on the back burner. I have a lot of things going on. And I was at a vision retreat 2 weeks ago, and my coach drilled. She drilled and drilled and drilled. And she said, what are you afraid of? We kept drilling. And, she got to my core reason. And I wasn't even clear of my core reason. But my book, I speak to those who have been silenced, those who have been devalued, those have been told by maybe a boss out there at some point, and it's like garbage now in your head, like your voice doesn't matter, or whatever, or the people who are in their own way or who have past trauma. I talk about things. I talk about my wake up call, and it's like God Energy is all about living fully and living abundantly and like showing up, being proactive. And it's this beautiful book. People write me all the time. Oh man, chapter 6 like saved my life. Chapter 6 changed. And I'm like, this is so cool, but it's out there. So do I really? And it's too big. It's too big of a book. So my people tell me all the time, break it down. And I just haven't. So how I'm lending it forward this year, and I give this thing away all the time. I send my book. If you want my book, reach out to Sarah. I'll send you my book. I'll send you my book. So everyone said, is it on Audible? I need it on Audible. I like it. I like to listen. Or can you break it down? It's 4 books in one. Can you break it down? And I've not done. And I keep thinking that it would be selfish to do it. So what I've decided, it's not selfish, because my coach said, no, you are reclaiming value for people. It's justice. You go to it. I'm like, okay. So how I'm lending it for this year is I'm carving out the time. I'm going to go republish, and that it's going to be my biggest giveaway. It's going to be a fun thing to do. And I'm looking at it from that angle, from that lens now.
That's awesome. Well, we'll be looking out for it. That sounds great. Thank you so much, Tim, for being here. Thank you all for tuning in. And if you haven't yet and would be so kind to leave us a review, Tim just talked about reviews.
Yeah.
Now, not on Google, but at wherever you get your podcast, a 5-star rating, so that others know that you like what we're putting out there, and we can keep on lending it forward to you, spreading the messages of our awesome guests out to fellow industry professionals. So thanks again for tuning in. Thank you, Tim, and we will see you all next week. Thanks again for tuning into today's episode of the Lending Forward podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram @LendingForward, on YouTube and LinkedIn. Tune in next week for another new episode, and go lend something forward today. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal opportunity lender and employer located at 600 Lynn Haven Parkway, Suite 100, Virginia Beach, Virginia 23452.